Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Highruler, and today's video is going to be talking about Star Wars Battlefront, the Classic Collection. Now, this one's going to be kind of interesting. There's a lot to talk about here, and unfortunately, a lot of it is just not good. So for you guys who have missed it, Asper Media has just released the Battlefront Collection, which is a remaster Battlefront 1 and Battlefront 2, and many of us played it when we were younger. Myself, I played Battlefront 2 quite a bit, and I think a lot of people were holding on to hope that these were going to turn out quite good, if not great, and unfortunately, that just hasn't been the case. Now, thankfully, I think when I look at the situation that this game's in, I'm kind of glad I didn't buy it because I was on the fence for this for a while. And, kind of when it was announced and the trailer came out, I was very hyped for this. I was very excited for it. And, as kind of the days and the weeks went on, I was kind of apprehensive about it. And I was hoping to get a key for it because I think at that point it would have been my money that was wasted, right? And today, coming home, I was reading Reddit, and Reddit has been quite on fire about this game. I haven't seen so much on my Twitter, but Reddit has been on fire. And I'm going to show this video here by Kin Polka, and the link's going to be in the description, of the multiplayer desync that is going on. And this is actually just borderline unplayable. I think if you're someone who plays these games online, and frankly, that's what I did a lot of when it came to Battlefront 2, is this was an online experience for me. And looking at this video right now, everything that is happening here in this video just screams that this is not going to be a worthwhile experience. And this isn't the only thing that's happening here. There are things going on with the quick play, the aiming, the mouse acceleration. It just seems like there's a lot here going on. And then if you look towards the single player, there's cutscenes missing. There's crashes during the Battlefront 2 campaign. There is a lot, unfortunately, happening with this game that just points to it not being worth it at this time. So where does that leave us at, and what can we expect for the future? Well, unfortunately, Asper Media has quite a spotty track record of post-launch support. For anyone who remembers, they were supposed to put out DLC for Knights of the Old Republic 2, I believe it was, and that was eventually canned and cut, and they weren't doing that anymore. So if you're someone like me who's looking at this situation and hoping to get fixed, I'm not sure if we can have full faith in Asper Media to actually fix it to the degree that it probably needs. We're not talking just a full-on patching of the game. It seems like at bare minimum, if you're looking at the online, we're looking at more server support, we're maybe looking at a better netcode, and we're probably looking at a lot of fixes here to make this game playable. I have seen people say that the Battlefront 1 experience on single player is better, but it just seems like if you're looking for an online play for these games, and a lot of people are because they want to play them with their friends, they want to experience them with their friends, it just seems like there's no good way about it here. Unfortunately, in some ways, this is a classic remaster because if you look at a certain situation like you want to play with your friends, there's really no join-in party, there's no party system in the game, and that is still faithful and true to the experience that we had back in the day with these games. The unfortunate thing is that kind of multiplayer has moved on since then, right? So any sort of updates or added features is never going to happen. So all we can hope for right now is that the multiplayer gets better, and with the way it launched and how the servers kind of came online, it kind of, it's not great, and we want things to be fixed and kind of playable, right? I think one of the more interesting things too is that we see a lot of these quirky issues pop up as well. So if you host a server on this game, your FPS is capped to 30, and I saw that on Reddit and I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And it seems like there's all these quirky little issues that have popped up with this game and kind of make it a not so great experience, and I think that's just very disappointing. I think one of the things Star Wars fans look for is a good classic fun experience because we don't have many of them nowadays, right? We don't have a kind of multiplayer game to play. Battlefront 2's dead, Squadrons is dead, and while some remasters come out, we just had Dark Forces come out, we don't really have a lot of options here to play Star Wars games. And I think a lot of people, myself included, were looking towards these Battlefront games that kind of tide us over until maybe the next multiplayer game was coming out. Just after the news of the Mandalorian game being canceled, I think a lot of Star Wars fans are quite jaded in the video game space, and I think this does nothing to kind of restore faith in them getting a game that's going to be kind of a good experience here. What we've seen today and what we may continue to see is that these Star Wars games are just going to come out and they're not going to do much here. The hope is that obviously a lot of the networking stuff is just just because they weren't expecting so many people to play it. But I don't even know how that is going to be true when the all-time peak is just under 10,000 players. I would like to think 10,000 players split between two games and then split between online and single player would be enough for them to kind of host on, and then obviously of the other platforms as well. But I'd like to think that they were prepared for some sort of influx of people to play this game. I don't really know what's going to happen with this one. This is going to be an interesting story to follow over the next couple of days and the next couple of weeks. But I think what we're going to see in the immediate kind of short term is that Asper will try to do something, put the fires out, because obviously they don't want this to go on any longer than they have to, right? Asper is kind of a company that does a lot of remasters, does a lot of kind of building of other games up. And I think when companies see this and they see kind of a faithful project not really living up to the expectations, or even frankly living up to the way it was almost like 20 years ago or whatever, I think a lot of people are going to kind of look at Asper and go, is this really worthwhile? So I think there's going to be a lot of moving parts to the situation, one of which will be obviously, can they fix this game to make sure that it's playable, right? I think going back to it, if your game's not going to work and you're going to crash, and then if you're not crashing, you're desyncing. Obviously, desyncing like that, brings me back to the days of PS2, playing SOCOM 2 or Battlefront 2, and you have those experiences, right? But I think with the way networking is gone and the way game development is gone, I think servers nowadays have more potential to kind of give you a worthwhile experience. And it just seems like unless they're able to do something on the back end for Battlefront 2, I don't really know how this is going to go. A lot of people have speculated that it's due to the increased player count, which is 64 players on servers now. And I'm not sure that could be the case. I'm not an expert, so I can't speak with authority on it, but I think obviously you're looking at this situation just hoping that it gets fixed. So I'm not going to buy it just yet. I'm going to sit on this one. I hope you guys do as well. I think this is going to be a game and a situation that you're probably not going to want to buy in on, even though I think a lot of people, for nostalgia's sake, are going to want to. I think I've seen enough people say that this is not worth buying just because it's not really the greatest of experiences. And I've seen people say that they're trying to get refunds for it. So it just goes to show that even a remaster nowadays isn't a guaranteed hit. I think we see a lot of people talking about games nowadays come out and they're broken, they have to get patched. And I think people thought that a remaster was going to be kind of a slam dunk, so people pre-ordered. And then what we have today is just a really not great experience. And I think because of that, we really need to kind of sit this one out and just kind of watch from afar. But let me know what you guys think. Is this as unplayable as people are saying? Are you guys having fun with it? And let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I will see you guys very soon. Enjoy the rest of your day and night. Take care of yourselves. Later, guys.